Don't you think that everybody's ghost producing now? Like, personally, I feel like everybody's ghost producing. If I spend 6 hours creating melodies and loops, and I don't add drums or 808s to them, but I put down piano, I put down guitar, I put down strings, I put down melody, I put down bells, I put down all this stuff, and I create a loop. And then I send you the loop. And then you throw a kick and a clap on it, and then you get it to an artist. Like, aren't you still ghost producing? I feel like everybody's doing some ghost production. And for that matter, I know that there were some names associated with Dre at one point, names associated with Timbo at one point, names associated with Kanye, names associated with... Aren't we all just ghost producing anyway? You know what I'm saying? Like, what beat maker, what producer is like coming in and doing 100% of everything on the production? What is the percentage of that that's actually happening? People have been known to have ghost producers, just like people are known to have ghost writers. And, you know, they'll probably have the same justification that I just gave you. Yeah, he worked on the piano, he worked on the keys, but it's still my beat. I'm still going to get the production credit. I'll give them some musician credit. I'll give them some, they get a few points, or they get a half a point for this or for that, but I'm still going to get the bulk of the publishing or whatever. Like it's like norm. It's like the norm almost. Like, and now when I see the loop community and the like people, it's so interesting how at one point you would be on Twitter or Instagram and people would be like, send me beats. Like, oh, I'm in the studio, like, send me beats. You know, that would be like an artist. Send me some beats. And then, you know, they would go to their email and they would just have tons and tons and tons of beats that all these producers have sent them. So there would be like beats, like finished beats, right? Then producers started getting into the Twitters and the Instagrams and being like, send me loops. So now they send them loops, right? And then you go, or send me samples, send me loops. So now you send a loop to one producer who, you know, flips it, does some stuff to it, and then they might send it to another producer who flips it, does some stuff to it, and then they might send it to an artist, or they might get a way to hear the artist hear something, and that might just be the process. It's not like, 100% everything that's done has been done by one producer at one time, you know. Okay, GS says not everybody not ghost producing. I'm talking about ghost producing on projects that are out on platforms, not sitting on your hard drive. I think let's clarify. I think that what people are doing today with music is a lot of ghost production. Now, you might get credit if you make a loop that somebody really likes and they go on to produce a track and you don't get credit for that track, you're ghost producing. You produce the loop, you produce the sample. If somebody else goes on to make a track and they get it to a rapper or a singer, you're ghost producing. You just don't know you are. Like, you're not going to get the credit for that sample pack. Kyle Beats was just going through this whole issue with him and Mexican OT and a sample that was a part of his sample pack that Kyle Beats didn't even create. Kyle Beats didn't create the sample because the other guy, one of his other friends, created the sample that was on Kyle Beats' sample pack. And so you're not going to get, like, the song has been out for so long, you're not getting recognition for that track. You're not getting any credit for the work that you did. Like, and, you know, don't give me that it's not work, because if you could create the melody, then you would do it. You wouldn't be on Kyle Beats' website trying to get a sample, for example. You wouldn't be on Chris Reed Beats' website trying to get loops. You wouldn't be joining my membership trying to get free loops. Like, sometimes that inspiration is the biggest part of the track. Sometimes, you know what I'm saying, just having that sample or having that loop that somebody can flip That's the biggest part of creating a hot song or a hit song. And if you really will see it when you look at the even bigger artists, not even like local artists or low level artists, but Drake and Lil Yachty just went through this. We was just talking about this. Yachty want to take somebody else's song and sample it and flip it. It's like, why don't you just make something 100% original? Because that's not how people are making music today. Not even collabing. Like, I would say if it was a collaboration, some guy cooking up a bunch of melodies, cooking up a bunch of loops, sending them out, and then somebody else is making something. And then maybe they get a check for it. Maybe they get a point on the production for it. Or maybe they don't. That's exactly why I say the new style of producing today is all ghost producing. They all ghost producing. They all are. It's like whoever the main guy is, whoever the main producer is, that's the one that's getting the credit. That's the one that's getting everything. That's the front man. The front man, he's the last person between the artist and the beat. But before it got to him, there's like all these other loop makers, all these other drum loop makers, all these other melody loop makers, all these people that's in the chain, and they don't get any mention. They don't get any credit. I'm one of them. This happens. This happens all the time. You get paid for your part in the track. No one ever talks about you ever again because the front man, the front producer, that's the one that we put the name on. So the only thing that you could do as the ghost producer, because I guess the only difference is back in the day, it's not back in the day because it's still right now. The overall idea is as a ghost producer would be they created the whole thing, gave you the entire track. And now you present that to an artist and you get the full credit and you pay them for their work. But if you are creating the melody and loop, Chris is saying you're still ghost producing. That's my own personal opinion on the matter, is that we are still, or even more so, ghost production is even more prevalent today than in the past. There are more ghost producers today than there ever have been because of the way that music is being created now. That's my thought. Sometimes, not all the time, sometimes they do the splits. And then let me ask you this question. Do you think the splits are fair? Do you think the splits are fair? Do you think the splits are 50-50? Do you think they're 33 and a third for 3 producers? Do you think they're 25% for 4 producers? Do you think they're actually split evenly? No, they're not. They are not. The frontman producer is getting a bulk. If it's a collaboration, it's a collaboration. You will see it. You will know the difference when it's a collaboration. It will say the producers. It will say their names. It will say produced by. It will say all of the people that's involved. It will say that. It's gotten so bad now, bigger name producers will let you buy a collaboration. Because if you collaborate with me, I'll get your beat sold. I'll get it placed. Just pay me up front. That's a crazy business structure. Shout out to whoever came up with that. Okay.